Every violinist uses their body slightly differently, and that's what creates their unique sound. Not long ago, I did a video about Oistrak's bow hold and bow arm, and a lot of you seem to really enjoy this analysis. So today, we're going to be talking about Menuhin's bow hold and bow arm. The reason that I chose Menuhin's bow hand next was his bow hold is quite different from Oistrak's, and I thought it would be interesting to analyze a totally different bow hold and setup. Eventually, I'd like to do some videos on contemporary violinists, but I think it's very valuable to look at this older footage. We don't have a lot of this footage, and a lot of it isn't really usable, so I think it's very helpful to analyze this footage first. My name is Niv Ashkenazi, and this is Eye for Technique. After watching a lot of footage and trying out Menuhin's bow hold, I observed 6 things. The first thing that I noticed is that Menuhin actually practices what he preaches. On YouTube, you can find some videos that Menuhin made where he's teaching students about how to use both their right and left hands. In this footage, he specifically talks about using flicks of the wrist for the bow changes at the frog and at the tip.
If we smack something or someone, perhaps a teacher, this way, we smack and bounce back as the ball does off the wall. This movement must be like a whiplash. Now, this would account for the change of direction from a down bow to an up bow. The other way, we would imagine something behind us or on the side that we would smack with the back of our hand. And this is the way that would happen. And that would account for the change from the up bow to the down bow.
I was able to clearly see this in every bow stroke of his, that there's a little bit of a flick at the end of each bow stroke. Menuhin places his fingers a little bit higher towards the stick. He also puts all his fingers very close together, probably the closest together that I've seen for most violinists. By observing the shape of Menuhin's other fingers and some footage that showed his thumb, I could see that he plays with a straight thumb. He also uses a side-to-side wrist motion rather than up and down. Both the straight thumb and the sideways wrist are fairly typical for many violinists, but it's still a choice that each violinist makes. Plenty of other violinists will have a curled thumb and a wrist that goes straight up and down. Due to all the things that we've talked about so far, such as raising the fingers up, having the straight thumb, and the sideways wrist, his pinky tends to be a little bit straighter, especially since it's very close to the other fingers. Each violinist uses their arm a little bit differently as they draw the bow. Some keep it very even on this sort of plane, but Menuhin and many others like to have it point a little bit down, kind of like this. And this almost looks like the stroke that you would use if you were to do a freestyle in swimming. One very important part of Menuhin's bow stroke is that he leads with his wrist on every stroke, especially down bows lead with the wrist. This is especially essential due to how he holds the bow with the straight thumb, the fingers close together, a little higher up. Without this, we end up with a very tight hand. I tried Menuhin's bow hold for a little while and recorded it on my professional slow motion camera, and here's the footage at 500 frames per second. One of the biggest advantages to using Menuhin's bow hold is that it gave me a very sweet and direct sound. The sound was still complex, but it was just more on the sweet side. It was also pretty comfortable for me to have all my fingers so close together. I would have thought that it would have given me a less secure bow hold, but it actually felt really comfortable. There were 3 key things that had to come together in order to make Menuhin's bow hold really work. The first one is that every bow stroke had to really be led from the wrist. The wrist motion is also what led to the thumb motion, the push and pull that we have with our thumb. This was entirely connected to his wrist. The final step that was extremely necessary were those flicks that he talks about himself. Without those flicks, everything tightens up. In fact, if any of these steps don't work together fully, you're going to end up with a very tight hand that's not very comfortable. But if you put it all together, all three steps exactly right, this feels like a fantastic bow hold. With my normal bow hold, my wrist and my thumb do work together, but they don't work together as one unit. Sometimes my wrist leads, sometimes my thumb leads, and they might exchange leadership positions multiple times within one bow stroke. For Menuhin's bow hold, though, it's really important to continue always leading from the wrist, which then leads to the motion in the thumb, and finally to the flicking of the wrists at the bow changes. If you'd like, give Menuhin's bow hold a try, and here are some tips to help you when trying different violinists' bow holds. It's important to look at the shape of the fingers when trying someone else's bow hold, and this also helps you sometimes figure out what the shape of the thumb is going to be, even if you can't directly see the thumb. Also look at the entire arm and how the stroke might change depending on which part of the bow you're in or what string you're on. Copy the look as best you can, but then remember to make sure that it also sounds good and feels good. So if it looks right, feels good, and sounds good, you're probably on the right track. I've gotten other requests of violinists I should look at, and I'm really looking forward to making those videos. Let me know if there are any other violinists you'd like to see me analyze. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It all really helps.